Okay, so far we have seen what is a vector, what are the types of vector, right? And two special type of vectors called unit vectors and zero vector, right? Unit vector, zero vector, right? And what is the main purpose of unit vector is what we have seen in the last class. Now let us, and also we have seen the multiplication, right? Multiplication of vector by a scalar or by a real number. Now if you consider, I gave you an example of f is equal to ma. So where you can actually see the force as a force is nothing but mass multiplied by acceleration. So here acceleration is a vector, mass is a scalar, right? So it is a scalar. So this is quite similar to multiplying a vector with a real number, right? Okay, now in this class let us see about addition of vectors. Please take notes parallelly. All right, addition of vectors, and next we can go to subtraction, right? Now for time being, let us look into the graphical method, right? Now this is easy. Please write in your notes parallelly. All right, now what it says is, say we have two vectors. Let us start with two vectors, right? So say we have two vectors a and b. Okay, vectors a and b, right? Now the vector sum, okay, now how to say is, how we call this as, okay, the vector sum of a and b will say, okay, so the same symbol, plus symbol will use. When I write vector a plus vector b, we should call it as vector sum of a and b. Okay, vector sum of a and b, right? Now let us equate this a, vector a and vector b, the sum of vector a and vector b, to a new vector c. Okay, let us say vector c is the sum of vector c is the sum of vector a and vector b. All right, or you can say c is the vector sum of a and b. That is also fine. Okay, now how to understand, how to get this vector, right? Now as you all know, we need to keep in mind the two important properties of a vector. What is that? Vectors have magnitude as well as direction, right? Now how do we represent vector? Vector is represented by an arrow, right? Now vector a, so you can say it is in what is that, east direction, okay, or just blindly assume, so this is some direction, it can be east or anything, right, denoted by directions or angles. Sometimes in your xy plane we will use angles for specifying the direction. That is also fine. So it is just that the person to whom you are communicating, he has to understand the language of the direction. Okay, it can be east, west, north, south, or it can be 30 degrees with respect to x-axis, 50 degrees with respect to positive y-axis, negative y-axis, clockwise, anti-clockwise, like that. Okay, so understanding it is left to the, I mean, you must make sure that the person to whom you are communicating will understand the magnitude and direction that is on. Okay, now let us say vector a is this way, right? And whatever I have drawn. Now vector b, okay, vector b, it will be like this. Okay, now say vector b is like this. Okay, now you have to add these vectors. Okay, you have to add these vectors, fine. Now let me tell you an important property here itself. So there is something called as shifting of a vector. There is something called as shifting of a vector, right? Now this shifting of a vector, it is basically applied to, okay, it is basically applied to a class of vectors, what we call them as free vectors. Okay, now these free vectors are the vectors which, I mean, you can actually move the vector. Okay, there, that means I'll tell you what it means. Okay, you are able to move the vector freely. Okay, you are able to move the vectors freely, so that their magnitude and direction must not change, right? And there is this condition which you have to follow. Free vectors are the vectors which can be moved. Okay, that we call it as the shifting of a vector, right? Shifting of a vector will say, so move the vectors so that the magnitude and direction will not change. Okay, magnitude and direction will not change. Okay, so this is what we call it as shifting of a vector. Now direction do not change, right? Now you cannot move, okay, you cannot shift, move, same thing. Okay, you cannot shift any vector you want. There are a class of vectors, what we call them as free vectors, right? Now so far, whatever the discussions we are going to see in the future for almost all the chapters, right? Now most of the vectors are free vectors. Now when it comes to the vectors that are not free vectors, right? Now there are a class of vectors, what we call them as localized vectors, okay? Localized vectors. Now these vectors you cannot shift, okay? So what are localized vectors? When we deal with that particular chapter, we'll let you know, okay? Now these vectors we cannot move, okay? We cannot move, fine? So you cannot move, right? Moving is not possible here because it altogether it gives a different sense, okay? So right, now let us consider the addition of vector considering shifting. Now what is that? You are able to move. What is mean by shifting? So shifting is nothing but you can move the vector on the plane. For example, right now you are looking at your phone screen or the computer screen, right? Now the computer screen itself is the plane, okay? You have to imagine that itself is the plane. Now you are able to move the vectors so that you will not change the length of the arrow and you will not change the length of the, you will not change the direction to which it is pointing, okay? For example, say the vector B is actually pointing here in the northeast direction, okay? Now you are able to move this so that you won't change the direction, okay? The length of the arrow will not change. That means the magnitude will not change and you are not supposed to change the direction also, okay? So what it means is, see, I have highlighted this and I'll highlight this also, okay? So shifting, actually what it means is you are just trying to shift it like this, okay? You are just trying to shift it this way. I think you can see it. Now what this addition of vectors graphical method, what it means is, okay, now B is in like this, right? Okay, now let me write one more diagram. Earlier, okay, see, earlier the vector B was like that. Now imagine you are holding that vector B and you are moving it, okay? Move the vector B, okay? Move the vector B such that, see, I'll write a separate diagram. Move the vector B, sorry. Yeah, move the vector B such that you will be able to place the tail of the, you'll be able to place the tail of the vector B, okay, tail of the vector B exactly where the head of the vector A lies, okay? So like this. So I'm making a copy of vector A here, okay? Same vector A I'm drawing here. Now vector B, imagine I have shifted so that vector B is actually lying on the head of vector A now, okay? So this is how vector B is now. Okay, see, still the direction did not change. It is still pointing to northeast. What did I do? I'm just shifting it, moving it, that is all. And it is in the plane now, okay? It is in the plane of your phone or in the PC, computer screen, okay? Now let us try to define what is C, okay? Now what did I write earlier? C is given as, C is the vector sum of A and B, okay? Now if you look at the LHS, what are you doing? See, we are adding two vectors, right? We are adding two vectors which are A and B, okay? Now if you add vectors, you will get some result. Now that result is C, and this vector C and this C, the result is also a vector, right? You are adding two vectors, you are getting some result. Now that result is also a vector, okay? Now how to represent this C means, here lies the trick, you need to remember this, okay? Now we will arrange the given vectors. For time being, I have taken two vectors, okay? We will arrange the vectors so that they are aligned in head to tail, okay? They are aligned head to tail, okay? What it means is the head of vector A has to be, it has to be placed where the tail of vector B begins, okay? Or you can say the tail of B and head of A, they are meeting here, okay? So the tail of B and head of A, they are meeting here. You can assume like that also, fine? Okay. Now let us define what is vector C. So vector C is the sum of vector A and B. Already I defined C as vector C. So vector C is equal to vector A plus vector B. Okay, now understand this. Now first step, we will arrange the vectors. For time being, I have taken two vectors. What if there are three vectors? That we are going to see next, okay? Now these two vectors I have arranged so that head of the first vector meets the tail of the next vector. So here the first vector is A, second vector I have taken as C. B, okay? Second vector I have taken as B. First vector is A, second vector is B. Now resultant C, okay, pay attention. Resultant C can be given as, okay, resultant C can be given as Okay, it can be given by connecting the tail of the first vector. Remember, what is the tail of the first vector? Vector A. Okay, tail of vector A. 2, it is given by connecting or drawing. Okay, it is given by connecting the tail of the first vector to the head of the second vector. Okay, now which is the second vector? B. Now this is the head of the second vector, right? Okay, tail of first vector to head of the second vector. Okay, so this is how we'll write. So you just have to connect them. Okay, so you just have to connect them. So what we'll get finally is we'll get this line. Okay, so we'll get this line. Okay, now this line, okay, this arrow, okay, and you can, that is also a vector again, right? Now this arrow represents vector C. Okay, so this arrow represents vector C, right? Now you can clearly write C is equal to, vector C is equal to A plus B. Okay, vector C is equal to, what is A? A is red. Okay, A plus B. Okay, like this. Okay, this is what finally it means, right? Now there are few things which you need to extract from this. So what it means is, again, the same thing is valid here also. The length of vector A, all right? The length of vector A represents its magnitude. The direction of that arrow represents the direction of vector A. Now same way, the length of vector B represents its magnitude, right? Now direction of vector B tells its direction, right? Now we have got vector C, is it not? Now the length of vector C, okay, the length of vector C gives the magnitude of the sum of vector A and vector B. Okay, now what is sum of vector A and vector B given as? Vector C. Now if you can find the length of this vector C somehow, okay, if you can find the length of this vector C somehow, fine, so that will give you the magnitude. Okay, that will give you the magnitude, or the magnitude of the vector sum of A and B. Okay, it will give you the magnitude of the vector sum of A and B. All right, fine. Now sometimes there is one more word what we call for C. Okay, now you can say vector C is the resultant. Okay, is the resultant. So just like you can okay, vector C is the resultant of A and B. Okay, the word I'm going to write again, please make a note of it. Vector C is the resultant, we'll say. Okay, vector C is the resultant of A and B. Fine. So it is just like you can say sum of 2 and 3. What will say? 5. So you can say 5 is the sum of 2 and 3. So just like sum, basically we use it in, you can use it for vectors also. Vector sum will say. Otherwise the more the quite or you can say most commonly, okay, so commonly we'll be using resultant. Okay, it just represents sum when it comes to vectors. Okay, so this is the rules. This is a simple rule what you need to consider when you are adding vectors. Okay, now I had taken for two vectors A and B, right? Now if you join the tail of the first vector to the head of the second vector, you are getting a line. So just that line itself, and the direction, it will be from the tail of the first vector to the head of the second vector. So you can say the direction of C, it is this way, right? The direction of C, it is this way, given by that arrow, that's all. Fine. Now there are, as I told you, there are many ways to specify directions. You can use what is that, north south, northeast, east west, north south, angles. Okay, fine, that's all. Right. Now if you can find out this length of C given length of A and B somehow using geometry, using trigonometry, fine. So that will actually give you the magnitude. So that will do next. All right. Now let us consider for three vectors. Now what happens if you have three vectors? Let us say, again it's very simple. We just have to see the head to tail method, we'll say. Okay, head to tail method, right? Now this is vector A, right? Now next comes vector B. Now say this is vector B. Now you have one more vector, vector C, let us say. Okay, now the sum of A, B and C, okay, let us call it as D. Okay, now let us write vector D is the resultant of, or you can say vector D is the sum of vectors A, B and C. You can call it that way. Otherwise you can say vector D is the resultant of A, B and C. Okay, vector D is the resultant of A, B and C. That is also fine. Okay, now again, how to do means, say they will give you, for example, vector C was lying somewhere here. Okay, vector C was lying somewhere here, vector B was lying somewhere here. Now what you will do is arrange the vectors. Okay, arrange the vectors so that they will meet. They will be arranged in head to tail method. Okay, wherever you have wherever the head of the first vector lies, there the tail of the second vector must come. Okay, wherever the head of the first vector is there the tail of the second vector must come. Now where you have the tail of head of the second vector, there the tail of the third vector must come. Okay, right. Now I have kept B here. See, let us consider B as the second vector. Now head to tail, head of A is connected, you can say it is connected to tail of B, like that. Now head of B is connected to tail of C, connected you can say, or it is ending at tail of C, you can say. Again, now the resultant, right? So the resultant is given by drawing a vector from the tail of the first vector to the head of the last vector. In this case, the last vector is vector C. Okay, fine. Now this is the point. Right. Now let me take. Yeah, that's all. So this is how we can draw. Okay. Now this will tell you that it is vector D. Okay. So this is vector D. Right. So this is about addition of vectors. Alright. This is about addition of vectors. Right. Now there are few properties of addition of vectors. Right. Now we'll see that. One second. Okay. Now the properties will take a look at it in the next class. Now I want you. Let us define triangle law of vector addition. Okay. So what it means, let us see. As I told you, there are two laws, right? What we use, triangle law and parallelogram law. Triangle law of vector addition. Now both are actually they're quite similar. You will understand why they are similar. All right. So triangle law of vector addition. All right. Now what it means is, again, you can easily understand from this diagram here. Now let us come back to this diagram. What it says is, arrange two vectors. The statement goes like this: arrange two vectors so that two of them represent. Okay, you have to arrange. Arrange means shifting, right? So arrange them so that they will represent the adjacent sides of a triangle. Okay, they will represent the adjacent sides of a triangle. Fine. Then the resultant will be given by the third side. Obviously, for a triangle, we'll be having three sides, correct? Now again, let me write. So see, vector A, it was like this, correct? Now vector B, it was this way. Yeah, vector B was this way, right? Now after some shifting and everything, so we have kept it so that they are representing the adjacent sides of the triangle. Now already we have, if you just try to look it from the lengthwise, okay, so just observe the length of the arrows, right? So they look like the sides of a triangle, right? Already we have two sides, right? Now the third side, it will be given by the resultant will be given by the third side, or the third side gives the resultant. Okay, and you should mind the direction here. So this is the vector sum of A and B. So C, will call it as A and B. Right. Now the direction is important, right? Now if you have arranged head to tail, okay, if you have arranged head to tail in this particular diagram, see the direction of A to B. So it looks like they are in anti-clockwise direction, correct? In this particular diagram, A and B, they are arranged so that the arrows are going in anti-clockwise direction, correct? Now how vector C is, it will be in the opposite direction to that of the vectors arranged in head to tail method. Okay, so this vector C, you can say it will be in the opposite direction, that is in the clockwise direction. So this is one more way to remember. Okay, now you must never write the direction of the vector this way. See here, as you can see, the arrow is the head of vector C coincides with head of vector B. Okay, so if you write all of them in the same direction, same orientation, for example here A and B, they are in anti-clockwise. One second. This was yellow, right? So A and B are in anti-clockwise. Now if C, actually it must be in clockwise direction. If you write this way, then it is actually wrong. Okay, if you write this way, then it is actually wrong. Okay, so you must not write the head of the vector this way. Okay, it is actually wrong. It altogether it gives a different meaning. What it means, we'll see later. All right, fine. So this is about triangle law. Okay, so you can say what it states is that if I'll write here triangle law, it states if two vectors, this is valid for two vectors, okay? For two or more than two, it's you can use this one, okay? You can take this example, all right? So this sometimes we'll call it as polygon law also, okay? We will also call it as polygon law. So just like it's just an extension of triangle law, okay? Polygon law of addition of vectors, will say, okay? Fine. Now what triangle law says is that if two vectors represent the adjacent sides of a triangle, okay, in a particular orientation, or you can say in like you are arranging them in a the arrows, if you keep on considering the arrows like this, so they are in a particular orientation, anti-clockwise orientation, right? So two sides of a triangle, then the third side gives the resultant, okay? Then the third side gives the resultant. Okay, so this is all about triangle law. All right, fine. You can take down the statement for triangle law. When two vectors, it's given here statement, when two vectors which are to be added taken in order means here I have taken anti-clockwise order, okay? In this particular diagram I have taken anti-clockwise order, okay? That's all, fine. See, anti-clockwise order, right? So yeah, taken in order are represented in direction and magnitude by two sides of a triangle, okay? So these vectors A and B, they look like the two sides of the triangle, is it not? Fine, right? Then the third side taken in the opposite order, right? So see here, the third side is taken in the clockwise direction. It's just like you have to go in the clockwise direction. So let me write it correctly. So actually the arrow must be in this way, right? Yeah, the arrow is this way. Yes, the arrow is this way, correct? Taken in the opposite order, right? Third side taken in the opposite order represents the resultant completely, that is in direction and magnitude, okay? So as I told you, C itself is a vector. So this arrow, this green arrow, C, right? It must represent its length represents magnitude and its direction represents its actual direction, okay? Now how to get its direction, magnitude and everything, we'll simply use some simple trigonometry and geometrics. So we'll find out in the upcoming classes, okay? Fine. See you in the next class. Please take notes, all right? If you have doubts, please leave a comment, all right? Fine. Thank you.